Nothing in life is better than good food and making something with your own two hands, and Blue Apron is the best of both of those things combined. Blue Apron is the #1 fresh ingredient and recipe delivery service in the country. All ingredients arrive right to your door, guaranteed fresh and ready to cook. It's better than eating fast food, plus it's affordable. Blue Apron is less than $10 per person per meal. Choose from a variety of recipes and get the meals that sound good to you, like the seared chicken and creamy pasta salad with summer squash and sweet peppers. Check out this week's menu and get your first 3 meals free with free shipping by going to blueapron.com/top10. You'll love how good it feels and tastes to create incredible home-cooked meals with Blue Apron, so don't wait. That's blueapron.com/top10. Blue Apron, a better way to cook.
Hello, Wiz from Death Battle here, just taking a break after that intense Lucario vs. Renamon analysis for something near and dear to me. Spider-Man villains. So many of these guys are really relatable, just like Peter Parker himself. I mean, have you seen Homecoming yet? Don't worry, no spoilers here, but hey, I'm Wiz and these are my top 10 Spider-Man villains.
Number 10.
First off, let me introduce you to the ringleader of so many popular Spider-Man baddies, Wilson Fisk, the kingpin of crime. I'm only putting him at number 10 because most people consider him a Daredevil villain, but he debuted as a foe for Spidey and continues to have it out for the webcrawler. This massive man earned his way to the top of the food chain. He's so good at running crime that even though he's retired multiple times, even betraying half the criminal underworld at one point, he always came back to put everyone in their place. It probably helps that he's one of the most intimidating men ever. Even Spider-Man, who can punch a T-Rex out cold, has trouble knocking him down.
Number 9.
All Flint Marko ever knew how to do was steal things. And in one of his frequent escapes from prison, he happened upon some horrible radiation which turned him into the Sandman. Okay, so not the most impressive origin, but this transformation turned Marko's entire body into a combination of sand and rock, making him practically indestructible. Ever heard the phrase, "go pound sand"? It's not something easily done. Aside from grainy toughness, he can shapeshift his sandy body into weapons, or just turn himself giant. Does that make sense? Not really, but it sure is impressive. Sandman even helped form multiple super teams, which he still partners with to this day. There's the Sinister Six, the Outlaws, the Wild Pack, and the Frightful Four, a deadly team consisting of Sandman, Medusa, the Wizard, and some idiot who decided to call himself Paste Pot Pete. Yeah, guess who's not on this list?
Number 8.
Who is Spider-Man? He's a criminal, that's who he is. A vigilante, a public menace.
That's right, it's time for Spider-Man, JJ style. What, you don't consider J. Jonah Jameson a villain? Sure, he's not out murdering people or shooting blue lasers into the sky, but he's been a persistent thorn in Peter Parker's side since day one. At this point, JJ's mission to expose Spider-Man as a fraud with #fake news has been the cause for hundreds of problems thrown Parker's way. He's planted bounties, hunted Spidey with robots, and is personally responsible for creating one of Spider-Man's most insane villains, the Scorpion. All with some of the best ramblings you've ever seen on screen.
Stop the presses, send my wife some flowers, and bring me an Advil. What do you mean you don't work for me? You're hired. Now that you're hired, you're fired. Now that you don't work here, we can be friends. Now that we're friends, how come you never call? Some friend you are. God, I love this business.
We love you, J.K. Simmons.
Number 7.
Mysterio may look a little silly with that fishbowl head, but he's one of the most interesting of the bunch. See, despite his name and reputation, this mysterious villain named Quentin Beck actually doesn't have any powers. He's really just a cunning magician who uses smoke and mirrors to keep up with heroes like Spider-Man and superpowered villains like Sandman. Just think about that. This isn't like Batman, who despite having no powers, still has the physical prowess to keep up with other superheroes. All Mysterio has is literally just his mind. With it, he's concocted dozens of tools to counter Spider-Man, including hallucinogenic gases. So he's basically like an electronic DJ who gives out free drugs, and Spider-Man keeps going to his raves. Wait, why doesn't JJ use that headline? Spider-Man, party goer and confirmed doper.
Number 6.
So for some reason, this gallery of rogues is pretty lacking in the XX chromosome department. It's a sausage fest, until you remember one of Spider-Man's most complicated girlfriends ever, the Black Cat. Felicia Hardy grew up under a criminal father famous for his cat burglar skills, and she followed suit. Sometimes a crook, sometimes a sidekick, sometimes a perpetually doomed love interest. She really reminds me of another certain cat-themed burglar lady. Black Cat's got one standout power though, probability manipulation. See, she naturally exudes a sort of aura which causes possible but improbable events to happen that can harm other people. That's right, she literally has the power of bad luck. Heck, it seems if you simply spend too much time around her in general, something terrible is gonna happen to you. I get that she's a sexy lady in a skin-tight suit, but Spidey would probably be better off staying away from that mess and just have MJ roleplay instead. And speaking of bad luck...
Number 5.
I think Eddie Brock must have hung out with Black Cat a bit too much because he had the worst luck a guy could ever have. As a fresh young reporter, Eddie was desperate to snag his first big scoop. He tried tracking down a serial killer and publicly accused a man named Greg. No, not that Greg. Not yet. It doesn't really matter though, because Spider-Man soon found the real killer, who just so happened to be Greg's neighbor. Disgraced and humiliated, Eddie was fired from his job, divorced by his wife, disowned by his father, and learned he had cancer. That's when he met a strange alien symbiote, and in their mutual hatred for Spider-Man, they joined together to create one of Marvel's toughest villains, Venom. Venom knows all of Spidey's tricks and then some more. Super strength, web swinging, shape shifting, he's even immune to detection by the spider sense. This guy/monster is intense. Luckily for everyone, Venom sometimes shifts into hero mode when the occasion arises. Phew.
Number 4.
Now here's something a little different. While Venom always gives Spider-Man a hard time, his powers do give him a distinct advantage. That is not the case for KRAVEN the Hunter. And yet this ridiculous madman has proven time and time again to be Spider-Man's superior. KRAVEN is a man of Russian nobility, out to prove he is the greatest big game hunter of them all. And what's the world's most dangerous game? Man. Well, superheroes. Superhero men. And women, you know what I mean. KRAVEN is a master of all things he does, and has defeated Spider-Man multiple times. He once even put him in a coma, disguised himself as Spider-Man, and single-handedly defeated a villain Spidey couldn't beat himself, just to prove he was better. And when he isn't out hunting, I'm sure KRAVEN is designing more fabulous outfits to wear. No, really, he totally looks like if Mike Hagar and Freddie Mercury did a fusion dance.
Number 3.
Okay, did you think Venom was intense? Well, how about we ramp up the crazy by 2 or 3 or 12? The literal spawn of Venom, Carnage, was a new symbiote which bonded with convicted murderer Cletus Cassidy. Unlike Eddie Brock, Cassidy was an actual psychotic homicidal maniac who murders family members and burns down buildings filled with orphans. Great! Also, unlike other symbiotes, Carnage bonded with Cassidy by merging with his bloodstream, creating a nearly inseparable bond with double the insanity. Carnage is far stronger than both Spider-Man and Venom. He's got all of Venom's powers and is even tough enough to survive being ripped in half. He's like having the Predator, the T-1000, and Chucky hunting you all at once. Like, all at the same time. Good God, he's horrifying.
Number 2.
When most people think of Spider-Man's arch nemesis, they usually point to the Green Goblin. And with good reason. Norman Osborn founded Oscorp, a multi-billion-dollar corporation, which secretly worked to recreate a superhuman formula similar to the one which birthed Captain America. A lot of people are trying to do that. Thing is, Norman actually figured it out, but then his stupid son Harry switched a few chemicals around and everything literally exploded in Norman's face, turning him into the insane, crime-obsessed Green Goblin. Don't worry, Harry would get his due later and even become another Green Goblin. It runs in the family. The Green Goblins have probably had a more profound impact on Spider-Man's life than any other villain, from killing his girlfriend to unmasking each other. And we'll never forget one of the best casting choices in cinematic history, Willem Dafoe as Norman Osborn.
Had you not been so selfish, your little girlfriend's death would have been quick and painless, but now that you've really pissed me off, I'm gonna finish her nice and slow.
Come to think of it, those Raimi movies had some really good casting, including...
It's number 1.
You knew this one was coming, so why draw it out? Coming in at number 1 is Dr. Otto Octavius, the one and only Doc Ock. Good old Otto was a big inspiration for me. Sure, he may look like Mr. Magoo on steroids, but he's a brilliant nuclear scientist with 4 incredible robot arms. Surprisingly, Doc Ock is one of Peter Parker's most challenging adversaries. Not just because of the robot arm's superior strength, but also because of Otto's impressive intellect. Doc Ock has ransomed our entire nation off multiple times using nuclear devices, been resurrected from the dead, and once even single-handedly defeated the X-Men. But most famously, Otto is the one responsible for forming the biggest threat in Spider-Man history, the Sinister Six. A team of the most deadly and cunning villains, all with a single goal: destroy Spider-Man. Kudos to you, Doctor, for such a terrifyingly brilliant idea. My secret number 11 is the Punisher. Sure, he's an anti-hero these days, but he started out as a villain. He was hired to take out the webhead while building a name for himself clearing scum off the streets of New York. And he wasn't exactly doing this with a push broom. Luckily, Spidey and Punny worked things out, but he will always be known for debuting as one of Peter Parker's first truly deadly villains.